We're going to talk through the cardiovascular system, the GCSE. Structure of the cardiovascular system. If you clench your hand into a fist, this is approximately the size of your heart. It is located in the middle of the chest and slightly towards the left. The heart is a large muscular pump that is divided into two hearts, the right side and the left side. The right side of the heart is responsible for pumping deoxygenated blood to the lungs. The left side pumps oxygenated blood around the body. Each side of the heart consists of an atrium and a ventricle, which are two chambers. Right, the atriums are where blood collects when it enters the heart. There is an atrium here, and there is another one here. The ventricles pump the blood out of the heart to the lungs and around the body. So the ventricle is here, and the other one is there. The septum separates the right and left side of the heart. So this is your septum here in the middle. The tricuspid valve separates the right atrium and the right ventricle. It opens due to a build-up of pressure in the right atrium and prevents backflow of blood from the right ventricle to the right atrium. So here is the tricuspid valve. The bicuspid valve separates the left atrium and the left ventricle and prevents backflow of blood from the ventricle to the atrium. It likewise opens due to the buildup of pressure, this time from the left atrium. So here is your bicuspid valve here. The key part of this is that it prevents the backflow of blood. Blood vessels leading into and out of the heart. There are four main blood vessels that take blood into and out of the heart. The aorta is the largest artery in the body. It carries oxygenated blood away from the left ventricle to the body. The vena cava is the largest vein in the body, and it carries deoxygenated blood from the body back to the heart. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away from the right ventricle to the lungs. The pulmonary vein returns oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Now, the two key bits of information here is this artery, the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary vein. Now, all arteries carry oxygenated blood, so blood with oxygen. All veins carry deoxygenated blood, except for these two. If you look, it is the other way round. Pulmonary vein, oxygenated blood. Pulmonary artery, deoxygenated blood. So an exam question could be, what is the difference between the pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein? You need to make sure you remember one is oxygenated and one is deoxygenated, and it's not the same as usual. Arteries carry oxygenated blood away from the heart, except for the pulmonary artery, which carries deoxygenated blood away from the right ventricle to the lungs. The main artery is the aorta, and the main vein is the vena cava. You can see here on the diagram, we have got the lungs, pulmonary vein, the aorta, the left atrium, the left ventricle, the rest of the body, the vena cava, the right ventricle, the right atrium, and the pulmonary artery. And you can see how it is moving around like this. The double circulatory system. The heart works as a dual action pump. Two pumps that work at the same time to pump blood in two different directions. The right-hand side of the heart collects deoxygenated blood from the body and pumps it to the lungs to collect more oxygen. This is called pulmonary circulation. The left-hand side of the heart collects oxygenated blood from the heart and pumps it around the body. This is called systematic circulation. You don't really need these two terms, but they're there. Left-hand side, oxygenated blood is carried to the heart from the lungs in the pulmonary vein. It goes into the left atrium, through the bicuspid valve, and into the left ventricle. The ventricle pumps the blood through the semilunar valve into the aorta and around the body. The right side of the heart, deoxygenated blood from the body is carried to the heart in the vena cava. It goes into the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, and into the right ventricle. The ventricle pumps the blood through the semilunar valve into the pulmonary artery and to the lungs. So we can see the system here. We've got our, in the lungs, our capillaries, our pulmonary vein, into the left atrium, bicuspid valve, left ventricle, semilunar valve, aorta, into arteries, to the rest of the body. Then deoxygenated blood goes through veins, through the vena cava, into the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve, into the right ventricle, through the semilunar valves, to the pulmonary artery, and back into the lungs. Structure of blood and blood vessels. Blood is carried through three different types of vessels in the bodies: arteries, capillaries, and veins. All blood vessels are specifically structured to perform their function. For example, a capillary is microscopically thin and allows gas to exchange, so they are 1 cell thick. The arteries are tough and flexible to cope with high pressure. Arteries, high pressure of blood flow. And veins contain valves. Veins contain valves to prevent the blood from travelling backwards when at low pressure. All vessels feature varying lunar sizes. This is the hollow opening or the space inside the blood vessels. So we have arteries, veins, and capillaries. The functions of arteries. Arteries carries blood away from the heart, usually oxygenated blood, except for the pulmonary artery. The walls are thicker and more muscular. The lumen, hole in the middle, is smaller. Other features: thick muscular walls to withstand blood flow at high pressure as it leaves the heart. The largest artery is the aorta. The next one, the vein. Veins carry blood towards the heart, usually deoxygenated blood, except the pulmonary vein. The walls are thinner, the lumen are larger, and veins contain valves to prevent the black flow of blood. You can actually see a valve there. Capillaries allows diffusion of gases and nutrients from blood into the body cells. Very thin walls, 1 cell thick. Lumen, very small, only allows blood to pass through 1 cell at a time. Other features: walls are made of semi-permanent membrane to allow transport of gases and nutrients into and out of the blood. The blood. The main function of the blood is to transport nutrients and oxygen into the cells of the body. Blood is made up of 4 components: red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and plasma. So the red blood cells, they transport oxygen around the body. White blood cells, they're to fight infection. Platelets are to clot our blood. Plasma is the liquid part of the blood. Red blood cells are very important for sport and physical activity because they contain hemoglobins. Hemoglobins allow them to carry oxygen from the lungs to the working muscles. Red blood cells are dish-shaped cells with no nucleus. The cardiovascular system has 4 main functions: to transport and deliver oxygen, nutrients, and hormones to the body, to remove waste products such as carbon dioxide and lactic acid, protect against disease and infection, maintain the body's temperature. Key terms, things you need to remember. You will get asked questions on this. Heart rate. Heart rate is the number of times the heart beats in 1 minute. The average heart rate is approximately 70 beats per minute. So you need to remember heart rate is the number of beats in 1 minute. Stroke volume. Stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped out of the ventricles each time they contract. So if every time the heart beats, how much blood is pumped out is stroke volume. Cardiac values. Cardiac output is the amount of blood pumped from the heart per minute and can be calculated by multiplying heart rate by stroke volume. So you go heart rate times stroke volume equals your cardiac value. Here are some questions. There are 2 pages. Go through them, and we can give the answers in class.